Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we are doing a repot, yet again, one that I'm slightly dreading, I'll be honest, because this orchid is in shambles. I have not repotted it ever since I purchased it. It kind of slipped my mind, not really, but I was just too busy with like moving and all of that. No excuses, but yeah, never got repotted and she still performed pretty great, but I do have a great deal of roots that are dead, they don't look good, and she's always so floriferous, which means, yeah, I'm happy, but also it gets dehydrated pretty fast, especially when it's in bloom. So it is time to offer her a proper house for the type of orchid she is. Now, you'll have the name of this orchid on the screen. It's a flower shop Phalaenopsis. It's one of those big lip Phalaenopsis that is absolutely gorgeous, and I absolutely love the white one. And whenever you buy new orchids, rarely do they show you their full potential because these orchids are sold the moment they are of blooming size, not mature necessarily. So as they grow and as they age, they do start to put on better and better shows. I did not think this one is just so floriferous and so vigorous, but I have decided she is the happy, or she will be the happy owner of the white self-watering pot. Anyway, so with that said, let's just start. And yes, this orchid has some roots inside the decorative pot, which she has so many roots. Some of them, most of them will not make it. It is what it is. I cannot remove these roots. There are just too many of them. So some will definitely be lost, and it is what it is. If you're cringing seeing broken roots, you know, don't, it's part of the game. But anyway, yeah, I have a ton of roots here. It's absolutely fine if some of them don't make it. Phalaenopsis have very strong roots. I don't even want to show you what's in here. So let's do this like we always do. We're gonna press a little bit on the pot and see if we can pull it out. We might not be able to pull it out because there are many roots intertwined here. I will get rid of all of these roots. Actually, to make my life easier, I don't know why I didn't start with this. Now, one of the reasons why this one got postponed like this so much is also the fact that, do I want to get into an hour-long repotting? Maybe I don't. Maybe I have other things to do. So I'm going to cut these flower spikes. They don't really last in water, so I'm not going to put them in a vase or anything. They're almost done. She has been in bloom since February or January even. I think February. The blooms last a long time on this orchid. There we are. And really, I'm not interested in secondary spikes because I generally don't like them. I don't feel like they're very pretty, and I'd rather let the orchid focus on vegetative growth. And especially after this experience, I want her to focus on growing roots and leaves and all of that good stuff. Righty, so let's see if she wants to come out like this. If not, I will have to cut some of these roots, and that's okay, that's fine. I will not cut the pot because I need this pot. It is plastic. I don't want to throw it away if I don't need to. It doesn't grow back, so I don't want to cut it. But roots do grow back. And these roots have already been damaged by me detaching them from the decorative pot. Right, okay, we are looking very good. Tons of roots here, which is the result of this orchid growing in the same pot for the past at least 2 years. So luckily for us, orchids actually do not mind having their roots crowded in their pots. They're epiphytic, and their growth is not impaired by the available space they have, because genetically wise, evolutionary wise, they know they always have space no matter what. So even if their roots are crowded like this, pretty much it would quote unquote feel for them like they're just crowding themselves on the tree's bark and they are just attaching the orchid better. But there is space to grow. And as you can see, there is space outside of the pot to grow. So yeah, they never actually suffer, like other plants maybe, from a crowded pot. What they suffer from as a result of a crowded pot is dehydration. The more roots you have inside the pot, the less medium, because in time, they just kind of push out, especially bark. They kind of push it out. Bark doesn't really compact like moss, so the only way out, or the only way to respond to the pressure of the roots is to fall outside of the pot. And you don't really notice it that much, because every time you water, you might lose 1 or 2 pieces, and you don't really pay much attention. Sometimes you just don't put them back. When it's on the shelf, you know, 1 or 2 pieces of bark falls, and you just get them and throw them away when you clean your shelf. So you don't notice when this medium just disappears from your pot. You just wake up one day looking at your root system and saying, where's the medium? Where did it go? But it, you know, gradually it kind of escapes the pot, let's put it like that. So what I'm doing now is kind of just massaging a little bit the roots. You know what, at this point, if I don't have very many dead roots in the middle, I don't want to disturb these roots way too much. I found the plug. It might have had some roots at some point attached to it, but they're gone. Yeah, they're dried. I need to cut them. So that was easy to remove, but yeah, I'm just gonna try to dislodge all of this medium from the middle. There isn't too much potting mix left to speak of, so that's good. Makes my life a little easier. Look at that. That's pretty much all there was in the pot. All there was left. But I do need to cut some of these roots. Now, you might ask, why didn't I soak the roots prior? Well, because it would have been messy, and it wouldn't necessarily have saved as many roots as you think. Soaking and stuff is sometimes pretty crucial when you do want to save all of the roots. In my case, I really didn't want to save all of the roots, and there are just so many roots that, you know, just statistically, if 10% of the roots are gone when you repot, the more roots you have, the more roots you're gonna mess up. So there's no point. We have enough roots. So at this point, I do have a lot of like dried roots. We can see they have no substance here. I'm gonna try to follow them and kind of cut them if they don't wanna, and they don't wanna come off on their own because they have this string, which is the actual root. Everything else, the fleshy thing, is a velamen, which helps in retaining and absorbing that water. It's like a sponge. So I'm just going to, as much as possible, follow the roots back and cut them. It's a mess, and it's gonna take a while, so I'm not gonna film everything. I'm not gonna put you through everything, but that's what I'm gonna do. This is the most time-consuming thing, I believe. This root is completely dried, but it's also pretty thick. Not thick, but you know what I'm saying. Look at this one. So we do have quite a few roots that need removal. So let me just go ahead and do that, and I'll come back when I'm done. Before I go, one more thing. When we cut roots, if you have, let's say, a segment that is alive and a segment that is dead, and the segment that is alive is attached to the orchid, always cut into the dead segment, not the live segment. It's not like leaves. We're not trying to get rid of an infection. So we're gonna cut a little bit of the good tissue just so that we don't leave infection behind. No, we're cutting only the dried part. And it's important not to cut into the live part because we're just opening a wound on the orchid, which can possibly get infected. It's not very common. Don't worry if you've cut the roots the wrong way, quote unquote. It's not common. But you know, you don't want to play that lottery. If you can help it so easily, just by cutting, you know, a few millimeters lower, do it. Why not? Do not buy tickets to the lottery of infected roots. It's not worth it. Alright, so I'm almost done with cleaning up this orchid. I was expecting more dead roots, but actually no. And Phalaenopsis do have very strong roots in comparison to many other orchids. And I am truly surprised that this one really doesn't have more dead roots. Just here and there a few more things that perhaps I missed, but nothing major at this point. Now, the roots that I damaged below, you can see, what I do with these is actually I cut where the damage is. Yes, I'm cutting into good roots. I'm gonna play the lottery just a little bit. It is what it is. It's the price I pay for my decision, and I'm okay with that. I I'm okay with the price. My decision being that of saving the pot and reusing it and not throwing it away and so on. So you have to be aware that there will be pros and cons with whatever decision, you know, you choose. And the most important thing is that it has to be your decision. I'm always getting comments whenever I do these things and whenever I'm cutting roots that, oh, I would never cut roots. And that's fine. It's not my problem what you're doing. I shouldn't say it sounded bad. It's none of my business what makes you happy, pretty much. And I'm not saying you should do it exactly like I do. There are some things that, you know, have to do with the well-being of the orchid, like, okay, give it this amount of air and water, give it this amount of light, blah, blah, blah. Those are like, okay, the good practices, the care tips and practices. But there are also many details and many nuances that you kind of have to cater to your not well-being, your view on things, and you know what you feel most comfortable with. If you feel most comfortable with cutting that pot and saving every little tiny root, then by all means do it. It's not my place to tell you what you should do. I'm telling you what I do. And I'm explaining why I do it, because that's what makes me comfortable, not throwing plastic pots. That is absolutely fine. And this is a nice one. I don't think I even want to put extra ventilation holes with like the heat that we have here. I think I can make this not layer just by mixing my medium properly, which I have perfected over years. So yeah, this is a perfectly good pot, and it breaks my heart to throw this away into the environment. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I can use it 10 years or more from now. I have literal pots that are 10 years old. So I can't make that crack. Just like I'm sure some of you cannot cut that damaged root, cannot damage that root. So you do you. It's none of my business to tell you what you should do and what you should believe and how you should feel about things. We're not here to do that. We are here to take care of orchids. So I wanted to clear that up, because there's always those comments like, oh, when I see you cut roots, I just can't. Well, I'm sorry. Don't watch the video. I don't know. That's what I feel comfortable. It hurts me more to throw away a plastic pot than cutting a root that I know will not make a difference, and it will grow. Plants grow and regenerate. Anyway, so kind of wanted to address that, because at some point it becomes a little, you know, after 12 years, it becomes, you know, the same thing that I need to address is too much. So I just wanted to address it now, in case somebody wanted to type me an angry comment that I'm cutting roots. I'm also going to cut this flower spike that is from last year, but somehow I didn't cut it all the way to the base of the orchid, and it just looks untidy and it kind of breaks my immersion. There we go. And we have some other flower spikes that are dried here that, again, I did not cut properly because probably I didn't have much space, but now that I'm here, might as well tidy the orchid up. That's it. All right, so I'm gonna clean up my tray and we're gonna go, oh, I missed a dead root here because it was growing in between good roots. It is just dry development at this point, so might as well just get rid of this dry development. If you leave the strings, it's okay. It's the dry development that retains the water as a sponge and starts to rot and affects pretty much all the balance. Okay, did I get everything out? Or as much of it? Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah, we're good. Alrighty, so be right back. Alrighty, now this is a pot. So this orchid, wow, the amount of room you'll have, aren't you happy? So this orchid will be potted in this mammoth of a pot, which of all the orchids, you know, there aren't many orchids that grow as big as to benefit from something like this in a hot environment especially, but Phalaenopsis are one of them. And I feel like this orchid can grow, you know, the leaf span, we can see the new leaves are just a little bit tinier, like 1 centimeter tinier than the older leaves, which means we have issues. And I know the issues. The issues are I did not water you enough. And probably because I also didn't repot it and it doesn't have slow release fertilizer, probably it also needed a little bit more food. In my experience, Phalaenopsis orchids are rather hungry and rather, let's say, heavier feeders than others. Are they as heavy feeding as a tomato? No. But compared to other orchids, I find that they do benefit from more fertilizer, and she will get some good slow release fertilizer in this bucket here. Right, so this is where she will reside, and she will never suffer from dehydration again, hopefully. So, as in my previous video with the Dendrobium, one thing I will do is, oh, by the way, this is a rePotme self-watering pot. I think it's a newer thing, like this size. I don't really know the size. I'm gonna put like an insert somewhere on the screen so you can see exactly what it is. It's a big one. It's, I think, their biggest self-watering pot. And it's the one that has cones that dip into the reservoir. It doesn't have a wick, which I prefer because sometimes, you know, wicks are hit and miss. Sometimes they don't wick as much as I would like them to. You know, maybe you have a very thin wick for a bucket of a pot pretty much. So cones dip in directly into the reservoir are my preference. But to make them wicking, obviously, we need to have something in these cones. So what I like to do is push sphagnum moss in the cones, which sphagnum moss is very absorbent, just so that we have something that absorbs dipping into the reservoir. And of course, this moss will be connected, quote unquote, to the first layer of moss on the pot, pretty much like we did with the Dendrobium video. If you missed it, yeah, I'm just gonna repeat a little bit what I did there. As I was saying, the first layer will be sphagnum moss. I like to work with dry sphagnum moss as of recently, because I can just make it more fluffy and it's not like sticking. I have a thing, I have many pet peeves because I'm not gonna go into the issues. There are things that need to be done in the proper way, otherwise, you know, I don't feel right. Maybe some of you might know how that feels. So I need to do things right. I need to make them flow in a coherent way. And for me, having sticky medium on my hands, it impairs the flow of things. I don't like being like wet on my hands and everything. I really dislike it. So recently I have discovered that working with dry moss is actually not that bad. Might be a little bit more, you know, messy, a little bit, but it's okay. I feel much more comfortable working with it like that, and I can make it fluffier. Right, so I'm going to place my orchid on the very first layer of moss because she has pretty long roots. After the first layer of moss, we're gonna go ahead with some bark. I need to make this pot as airy as possible because obviously we do not have ventilation slits. Now, something like this, I believe, should be avoided in cooler environments and especially in humid environments. If you are maybe in a more northern location and you know you have quite a lot of high humidity, maybe not so many sunny days, not so many warm days, maybe you should avoid this type of potting because I don't think it's gonna work. Definitely it's not gonna work in the same way that it's working for me. But if you do have issues and struggle with very warm environments, very dry environments, this might actually be of extreme help. Just make sure that you make things airy. That's the golden rule, and hope you remember in the Dendrobium video, after 2 years of being in the same pot, the sphagnum moss was still airy and fresh. That's what we're looking for. And especially with something like this that doesn't really give you as many backup plants, doesn't really give you as many or as much wiggle room. This is more for more advanced growers. You still gotta pay extra attention to how you're arranging this medium, how fluffy you make it. Even if we need sphagnum moss because it's self-watering pot and we need something wicking, you must add bark, I believe. I think only moss is risky even in my environment because this is a bucket. It's big. So I think we're all gonna have a much better time if we're putting some bark in there. And taking a little bit of extra time just to make sure that the medium is in the correct proportions as we want it to be and arranged where we need it to be arranged. And as fluffy as it should be. Yes, I know, it's a more time-consuming type of repot, but I think it pays in the long run because I do intend to keep this orchid here for more than 2 years. Let's be clear on that. I'm not going to repot and change all of this medium that I'm using now in 2 years. No. Phalaenopsis can sit in these media for, a long time. So I will say, I'm gonna try to stretch it to 4 years. The moss is not the problem, the bark is. It's not the best of qualities, but it makes sense financially. I'm gonna try to stretch it. Right, so I do believe this is the last layer of moss. And layering moss like this ensures that I connect it to the layers below. It's very important to be connected because we want to direct that water from below above. And the only way to do that is to make sure that the moss is connected to the upper layers by some threads. If it's not connected, if you have like moss on the bottom, only bark, and then moss at the top, it's not gonna work out because you have that bark in the middle, which interrupts the chain pretty much. Bark is not absorbent, it's not wicking. So that's why we're doing this very careful layering to make sure that the system will work. This pot has taken up a lot of medium, but you know what? She's worth it. She deserves it. Okay, this might not really be the very last layer of moss, but it's definitely the layer where I'm gonna add a teaspoon of slow release fertilizer. So I'm gonna put a pinch and another one. I took big pinches, I think 2 pinches. 2 big pinches and a small pinch. 2.5 pinches. Fine, 3 pinches. It's still not enough. There we go. Now it's enough. Don't fall. Holy moly, if this were on the floor, I'd have had a bad day. Right, let's put some more bark and see if we need to put a little bit more moss and then the final bark layer. So the slow release fertilizer, I'm using the Osmocote. I did not have the opportunity of getting the MSU slow release fertilizer, which I think it's better because it also has calcium. The Osmocote that I'm using does not have calcium, but it has served me pretty well in all of these years. I make sure to always mix my reverse osmosis water with... Now, I tried just reverse osmosis water and I didn't like the result. So I'm always mixing my reverse osmosis water, which is soft water. I mix it with some tap water because of those calcium and magnesium salts. So if you are using tap water and it's good for you, then you know the Osmocote is fine. It just doesn't have calcium. But the MSU does have calcium, the slow release version of it. I did not get the chance to have it because there's a problem with the border control. It's illegal to import in the EU stuff that are not made in the EU, like fertilizers, organics, and all of those things. You need phytosanitary certificates. You need a complicated business. You need to actually go through a legal process of like legalizing actually these products. And I'm not a business. I don't do this regularly. There's no point in me investing time and money into legalizing the MSU in Cyprus. Pretty much. I'm not selling it. So, you know, it's about luck. One time I just had to go through an enormous process of having to destroy it, and I met a lovely lady that understood the fact that, you know, this was a longer time ago. People didn't know how YouTube worked. I don't even know if YouTube was monetizable in Cyprus at that point. So we didn't have many influencers in Cyprus. Now we do. I'm sure some of you already know some Cypriot influencers. It's funny. It's quite fun now. But back in the day, really, people didn't know what this YouTube thing was, especially here especially at the post office with older people, let's say. It was a very scary process for me because people were treating it like I was trying to I don't want to say it because YouTube demonetizes usually these things. I was trying to create something I shouldn't with fertilizer, if you get my drift. I don't know what they were thinking. They were kind of treating me like that. I was also like I still am, I guess. But I just came to I'm an immigrant, right? I just came to this country. My country doesn't have the best reputation worldwide. So, you know, I'm used to it, but it's still like pisses me off a little bit the way that we were treated sometimes, like we're always up to no good. But anyway, so I don't know what they thought I was gonna do, and why did I import from the US this like little fertilizer, which was powder. It wasn't liquid fertilizer, right? The MSU was powder. But it was scary for me because I just came to this country. I didn't want to be deported like that, you know. But I met somebody, a younger person from the actual Ministry of Agriculture. You could see her, you know, she was hip, she had tattoos, she had piercings and all of that. She was looking really, really trendy and stuff. She understood what I was about and what this whole thing was, and she empathized or sympathized with me, and that was my luck. She took care of the issue. I didn't have to pay for destroying the MSU, the fertilizer. It was scary. I told RePotme, hey, don't send me fertilizer, please. I didn't even know I was gonna get the MSU. I was just, you know, at the border being there scrutinized for like, I didn't go into the post office expecting that, and I was shocked. I was a little scared that I was gonna have to go home to Romania because of that. Anyway, so that was my luck that time. The second time RePotme sent me fertilizer, they told me after they sent it, and I was like, oh my goodness, am I gonna go to the post office to even claim it? I don't know what I'm gonna do. I went and I bumped into a good or an understanding person at the office, and it went through. But I don't dare do it again. Given nowadays people know what like being online is and getting stuff from sponsors and stuff, I think people kind of dealt with it more ever since then. Sorry to make this like this little story, but yeah, I just remembered it, and I remember how freaked out I was. I'm freaked out anyway. I'm always freaked out about stuff. But then, you know, I was like, I just got here. I don't want to go home now. So yeah, I don't even dare try to tell RePotme, hey, send me the MSU. No, I trust, because it has the same formulation as the granular form, I trust is good. I made this whole discussion due to like the fertilizer, right? So yeah, I would use that if I could get my hands on it legally, but I can't. And you know, out of the goodness of their heart, RePotme would send it just like that to me to try it. But no, it's better not to. If you have it though, let me know how it goes for you. I already got some sort of reviews from some of you who tried it, and you know, it's good. It's like the MSU fertilizer. But if you're using it, let me know how it works out for you. I'm using the Osmocote because I can get it in the EU, and it works great as long as I make sure that I do provide that calcium somehow. How did my orchid end up slanted? Why? Okay, let me try just to raise it a little bit. I'm not gonna go overboard with it, but like it was too slanted, right? Okay, this is better. This side was facing you guys, so I didn't really realize what I was doing. But like if you know, shift it a little bit, because everything is so airy and movable inside, you actually can move the entire mass that I created. You can like rotate it. So yeah, I fixed the situation. There we go. So this little repotting turned out to be a little bit of a story time as well. I'm gonna make sure to title it like that, because some people still get a little confused about like these Repot and Chill videos. I just got a comment this morning on my Repot and Chill video saying sponsorships I declined or something like that. And they were like, 20 minutes into the video and you're still talking about sponsors. Did you read the title? Did you go through the first minute of the video in which I was saying, today I'm gonna tell you about all of the sponsors or sponsorship requests that I get and I refuse. I don't know how to make it more obvious, but that was funny. Yeah, when you have at least a title that says chill or story time, something like that, it's gonna be a talky one, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna make sure to put the proper title on this video as well, just to let you guys know it's not a tutorial, it's just me repotting things and talking, because it's my channel and I can do that. And I love talking. Alrighty, so we're done. The last layer was bark, because usually sphagnum moss gets cyanobacteria in my environment if it's left open to the light and elements, so I'm shading it. And there we have it. Now, some of the roots, you can see they're sticking out of the pot. That's fine. This is how they were initially. They will go out at some point as well. They will go into the reservoir, and that's okay as well. We're good. Righty then. So, what we're gonna do now is go watch it very well. First, I'm gonna run water through this entire pod just to make sure that the moss and everything gets a little bit damp, and then I'm going to leave some water in the reservoir for the whole thing to absorb as much as it wants. Now in the winter time when it's colder, I am making sure that there isn't a whole bunch of water in the reservoir. It's kind of easy at some point, you kind of have a feel for it, but now that it's summer, as much water as we can. It's gonna be okay. It's summer, it's hot already. It's gonna be 35 degrees Celsius this week. Ooh. So here we go. I need that reservoir. Alrighty, so that is about it for today. Phalaenopsis white big lip. I should really make a new tag for this orchid, right? How do you make new tags? You put alcohol on this, you wipe it like with some cotton or something, and the marker goes away so you can write on it again. So I'm gonna do that. But not now. I'm kind of too lazy now and I still have coffee to drink. Right, so for today, I think that is about it. Here is my little, oh my gosh, she looks so horrible, doesn't she? She does. This is my little white Phalaenopsis, which from now on, she will have all the space in the world to spread her wings, aka her leaves, and just make beautiful flower spikes and not be dehydrated. So you know what? With repotting, if you can't do it straight away, it's fine. There's no shame. Even after 2 years, better late than never. You know, orchids need repotting. If you cannot do it right away, which is preferable, obviously, it's okay. It's all right. We get it. We get it. Especially when your life is chaotic. We get it. It's fine. Luckily, Phalaenopsis are some of the most forgiving orchids. Don't push your luck way too much, but if you're gonna push your luck, do it with the Phalaenopsis because you have more chances of succeeding. Right, so for today, that is about it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Hope you've enjoyed today's video and my little ramble. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye!